everybody, this is Emma Purple here once again to bring you another new video. And in today's video I am going to be reading the very last episode of my short story, The Loop. For the sake of those who are new here, The Loop is actually a short story I wrote 5 years ago, and throughout I have been reading different parts of the story and we have been commenting on it and laughing at it for the past 2 months or so, and this is the very last episode, which is the very last part of the story. So if you guys don't know the full story, I will leave a description of the summary below, and I will also leave links to the past 9 videos. I am not going to waste any more time doing introductions. We're going to jump right into the story so that we can finish this and give ourselves a rest. I couldn't stop Crystalline from getting killed, Gardy. I can't make everything happen. She remembered her forest of headstones and it caught her heart. I don't want to go to a world of death. I don't want to be all alone. Her voice shook with emotion. Gardy saw deep pain in those eyes. He used one hand to pull the strands of purple hair from her face behind her ear. Remember I told you that the loop is just like breathing in and not being able to breathe out? Well, meeting you is like finally breathing out after 1,000 years and all the air has just swept me away like a tornado. I can't even really explain it. He looked deep into Ina's eyes. I know you feel like nothing good can come out of your life in that barren world, but you have made me feel what I've never expected to feel in my entire existence. It was as if I was set on fire that day when I first saw you. Despite the poison, you kept fighting and I thought, what kind of person is she? You had this spirit, this power. You protested the possibility of destruction. You fought with all you had. There is something in you, Ina, and seeing that power made me bond with you. I know that power can never be extinguished. Ina, it is possible that even though your world is dark, you can be a light because you ignited a light in me. He exhaled as though the words weighed a ton. For the first time in an eternity, that death and coldness in me faded away because of what I saw in you, Ina. Because of you. Ina stared into Gardy's eyes. There is a lot of staring in this story, and felt the power of the Eastern Star, a power which could transcend through worlds. It was probably the same power which he had seen in her because it was burning bright now. It felt like a fiery spark that had exploded as Gardy confessed his love. As they stared at each other, the couple seemed to blend into the colors of the diamond rock. She was in love with Gardy. She realized it how she realized that there was an existence apart from Breeched Cottage. Finally, she had formed a bond, and as though he read her mind, Gardy leaned in slowly and kissed her. The connection sent fireworks off in her head, just like how it would go off at a homecoming, and she had come home. And what she felt in that moment was simply unadulterated bliss. The thing about love was that it was a force which brought its own light. Even in the darkest night, love could illuminate, and it did in and around them. A loud bang woke the 4 girls from their sleep to see that it was morning already. The source of the sound was some black, unidentified object in the sky moving very fast towards them, almost as though it were rocket powered. Gardy was sitting by the depression in the bank. Floating on the silver sea was a smooth silver boat glimmering in the morning light. She's here. Gardy watched the black object as it moved rapidly towards them. Get in the boats now. The girls obeyed him, but Ina stood aside. Gardy's eyes queried her. I'm not going anywhere, Ina said. Are you insane? She will kill you, Gardy said. No, I'm crazy, girl. If it's because you're scared of your world, I'm not scared of it, not anymore. But I'm not going. I'll stay here with you and fight. She picked up her spear. Gardy paused, looked at the approaching object and then turned around. Okay, if you insist. He pushed the boat into the water with the other girls safely in it, and it slowly started to drift towards the diamond mountain. Ina, are you serious? You're staying behind, Mommy said. Ina nodded. You're really something, crazy girl, Molly said with a grin. Baby waved frantically. Goodbye, Ina! Ina smiled. She had come to understand that home was where the heart was, and right now her heart belonged to Gadi. She didn't know if she even had the strength to take down the evil wretch, but she believed that her love for Gadi had empowered her. I just want to state something. These three girls living off to their walls or to another dimension, they have known Ina all their lives. Is their reaction just going to be goodbye, Ina? Like, dude, we trekked all this distance to get away from Miss Darkheart and you're just going to stay behind and we're just going to leave it at that and say goodbye, Ina? Ina, focus. She's here. Keep away from her, Daddy said as he unsheathed his sword. Miss Darkheart, cloaked in black, stood before them, and Legolas landed clumsily behind her. What do we have here? Miss Darkheart said, looking at the pair. Did you sacrifice yourself to let your precious friends escape? I stayed behind to end your evil reign once and for all. You will never steal another girl again, Ina said boldly. Mrs. Darkheart laughed loudly and stepped closer. Ina pointed her spear at the woman. Gadi stepped in front of Ina. You are a very evil woman, Darkheart. He said to her. Mrs. Darkheart pointed her staff at Gadi and with one swift move, she shot an energy blast from the staff at him. Gadi dodged quickly and then charged at her. They clashed. His sword hit her staff, sending out sparks. She pushed him away and fired another shot at him. He rolled on the ground to dodge it and then smiled at her. Not too bad for an old lady like you. But you're losing power, aren't you? There is no one back home knitting essence into your little blanket. You've got a mouth on you, guardian and protector, she said as she charged at him again. Ina held her spear, ready to get into battle when Legolas spread his wings and attacked Ina from above. Ina waved her spear, trying to chase away the winged beasts, but Legolas was resilient. He hovered mid-air and attempted to stab his long talons into her back, but Ina turned around with a swift cha. Is that what I actually wrote? I wrote with a swift cha. I wrote with a swift cha. Like cha. She's stabbing Legolas. Cha. And I actually wrote, and with a swift cha, stabbed him in the leg. Legolas screamed in pain. You've did it again. I'll kill you for sure. You can try, Ina said as she stepped back looking up at him. Gadi and Mrs. Darkheart kept going at it. Gadi knew that if one of Miss Darkheart's energy blasts touched him, he would be dead for sure. He jumped from here to there, trying to avoid the powerful blast, but he was losing stamina. He had to get away from that darn staff. He attacked once more and clashed with her staff. He tried to hold on, but she was too strong. He withdrew in one swift motion and struck again, this time the tip of the sword cutting her cheek. Ina warded Legolas away long enough. As he hovered around her, she saw an opening to attack Mrs. Darkheart and went for it. She used her spear to pierce Mrs. Darkheart's back, and the woman screamed in pain. In a split second, something dug into her back. It was Legolas's talons. How dare you attack the madam, he screamed as he lifted her higher and higher. Ina gave out a shrill scream. Ina's scream distracted Gadi. Mrs. Darkheart used the opportunity to knock him down using her staff. She felt her back and saw blood. You little rat, I'll finish you for even daring to contend with me, she said with a grimace. Legolas had lifted Ina to quite a height and was preparing to drop her when Ina used her spear to stab Legolas under his massive wing. The two of them dropped like a fighter jet, causing a cloud of dust to cling to the air. Ina lay down in the dust with every part of her body hurting. From the corner of her eye, she saw Gadi on the floor too. She saw Miss Darkheart standing over him, trying to deliver her final blow. Right then, she gathered her strength and stood up. She didn't find her light just to lose it again. This woman had practically stolen her life away. Now she wanted to take the other thing that made sense. Mrs. Darkheart! She screamed at the woman as she struggled to walk closer to her. It's me you want! Just leave him alone! Miss Darkheart looked at her and then looked at the fallen Legolas. The incompetent beast. He was beat by a girl. She lowered her staff and turned to Ina. But you have changed, Ina. I can see something in your eyes. A new strength. She glanced at an exhausted guardian and then back at her. Has he influenced this power some way? When I found you, you were praying for death. You had lost everything. I did you a favor bringing you here, but this is not the cold soul which I picked out of a dead, war-ridden world, she chuckled. Whatever you found, I'll destroy it along with you. Miss Darkheart walked casually to where Ina stood. She held Ina's neck and then pointed the tip of the staff close to her head. Gardy managed to stand to his feet outside of Miss Darkheart's vision. He picked up his sword and slowly started to buckle towards her. He was scratched, battered, exhausted and bruised, but he persevered. He lifted up his sword with all his strength and sliced her arm. Miss Darkheart let go of Ina and the staff in excruciating pain. Ina felt a new surge of power as she spotted Gardy's blue eyes peeking through his messed hair from behind the screaming woman. Ina picked up Miss Darkheart's staff and broke it in two. Cha! Is that what I wrote? Cha! She rammed the jiggered part into Miss Darkheart's chest and then using all her strength, she pushed her to the edge of the cliff. She put one foot after the other ceaselessly, even as Miss Darkheart clawed her face until the evil woman fell into the silver waters. Immediately Miss Darkheart touched the water, she turned into crystal and sank into the deep. Ina knelt at the edge watching. It was such a relief. She was exhausted and elated at the same time. This was finally the end. Gardy met Ina on the cliff and knelt beside her. It's over. It's over, she said as Ina slumped on his chest. Gardy put her closer into his embrace, they sighed in relief. I just want to stay like this forever, Ina said as she let her legs dangle from the cliff. Gardy laughed. He could see the silver boat drifting back to the bank of the silver waters. It must have returned from taking the girls to their world. So what's next? Ina asked. Well, there is this wizard up in the north who keeps little boys locked up in the dark to find needles in haystacks for eternity. We could go liberate them, Gardy said as he wiped dust and blood from his face. That sounds like a great idea, Ina said with a smile. But first, said Gardy as he leaned in and kissed her. The pair learned something that day. Love had this intense power to change and transform even the toughest rules. It was the same power which had made Crystalline to remember her son and had liberated Ina and the other girls from the oblivion which Miss Darkheart had subjected them to. The power resembled the fiery meteorites which could bring life. Gardy and Ina had realized that the power of love could make the most terrible place in the world paradise. Ina finally understood Gardy. You can make anywhere what you want it to be if you had that power, and they knew they had lots of it. And that power could conquer anyone and any place, even the deepest darkness or a stiff world just like the loop. So Gardy and Ina sat with their home in sight, the enemy defeated and an eternity of each other. The end. Wow, that was really cheesy, and I'm very embarrassed to read it again, but let me be honest with you, when I wrote this story I was super proud. So finally we are through with the loop and all the adventures of Ina, Gardy and the rest. If I were to change any other thing about the story, I would change practically everything except the fact that these characters are living in this pocket dimension where there is no time, called the loop. I would also eliminate the characters Molly, Mommy and Baby because they have honestly no use in the story, and I would totally transform Gardy's character. I actually regret the fact that I made this relationship between Ina and Gardy without any form of depth or anything. So if I'm writing the story, you would expect a totally different story from what you have just heard here today. So thank you all for watching. For those who have been following all of this consistently, I really thank you. Like, it takes a lot of dedication to watch these things that I put out there. If you think you enjoyed this and you want me to read other old stories that I've written, just mention it down below. If you think I should quit reading my horrible story forever, say it down below. And I just want to thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe and do whatever you want. I will see you next time. Goodbye. This has been Emma Popo.